Since I became governor, we have achieved much together by finding common ground, but we must do more.
That was Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs in her State of the State speech this past week, reaching out to Republicans who control the legislature and whose bills she's vetoed more than 200 times. So, will the outreach work? Let's bring in one of the people the governor needs to reach, Republican Senate President Warren Petersen. Welcome to Square Off, sir.
Thanks for having me on the show.
First, I want to look ahead to 2026. There's been some chatter, including from yourself, that you're running or want to run for Attorney General. Can you confirm?
I'm seriously considering it. It's still a little too early to make that decision, but definitely in serious consideration.
Okay, too early? Haven't you heard the election cycle never ends?
Yeah, I'm sure this will be something over the next coming months that we'll make a decision on.
All right. Did you hear anything in Governor Hobbs' State of the State speech that made you say, that might be an idea we can agree on?
Yeah, there were actually several things that she brought up, issues that we want to work on. We've shown in the past that we've been able to find bipartisan solutions on the rental tax cut, delivering conservative budgets. And she brought up education, water, housing. Those are all things, of course, that are important to us that we want to tackle as well.
Let's talk about a water issue. Water's a huge issue here. Housing's a huge issue here. There is a bill that actually addresses both. It's called Ag to Urban. It was passed by the Republican legislature last year, vetoed by the governor, and yet the governor supports this, or a version of it. Maybe you just support different versions of it, but call it the same thing.
Well, it'd be great if she supported it. We look forward to her signing the bill this time. Yes, the Ag to Urban, just that one solution. We have several solutions that she vetoed, but just that one solution alone would meet the water demand for the housing that we need right now. What is not a solution is what she has done with a moratorium on housing. That's just driving prices up. Our Ag to Urban plan is very simple. You, in an AMA, active management areas where you have water challenges, if you take a farm which uses 3 times as much water as housing and you convert that to housing, that water gets credited towards the aquifer and you're able to allow building.
So she thinks her Department of Water Resources can do all this on its own. You disagree?
Well, it's unconstitutional.
So you disagree?
Yeah, I believe in the separation of powers, actually.
Okay.
I believe that the legislature makes the laws, not the executive branch.
Good to hear. President-elect Donald Trump is expected to announce a raft of measures, executive orders, dealing with the border immigration on Monday once he takes office. Voters here did pass Proposition 314 in the fall. The criminal part of it, the part that allows law enforcement to arrest border crossers, can't be enforced. So what's left for Arizona to do if Donald Trump is planning to do all these things?
Yeah. Well, a lot, really. And yeah, the proposition itself was really contemplating if we're in a situation where the federal government won't enforce the law. We're not looking at that now. We're looking at President Trump is going to enforce the law, follow the law. So now the shift here for the legislature is how do we support President Trump in securing our border? And there are things that we can do, whether it's law enforcement, signing agreements with the federal to work with the federal government.
It's 287G agreements?
Sir. Yeah, those
jails.
Yeah, exactly. Whether it is us providing resources such as facilities. Senator Kavanaugh has a bill where we will offer up public facilities if they need those for their efforts, things like that. And Teresa Martinez, Representative Martinez, also has a bill out there addressing this issue. And you'll see more.
So there are some things, but sheriffs are asking for a lot of money to enforce the border. Is it even needed?
Well, President Trump has said there's no price tag on securing the borders as far as what the federal government is saying. If our local public, law enforcement officers need funds, we'll make sure they have the funds they need to secure our border. That won't be an issue.
All right, let's move on to K-12 schools. Prop 123 expires this year. The voter-approved measure funnels about $300 million a year to our schools. Governor Hobbs wants the legislature to approve a May statewide vote. Voters have to renew it. She wants a May statewide vote, says August is a possibility too. Yet when I was listening to both you and House Speaker Steve Montenegro Monday during the State of the State before and after, it doesn't sound like either of you are in any rush to to get Prop 123 to the ballot.
Here's something I don't think the media or some people have not understood, or not all of the media has understood. In our last budget, last cycle, we go out 3 years, and we contemplated Prop 123 expiring. We backfilled that money with general fund money. So this renewal is new money on top of existing what was Prop 123 money. So that is why the Republicans have a plan, a very specific plan, to use the funds to raise teacher pay above the national average and protect school choice. The Democrats, the difference between us right now and the Democrats is the Democrats want the money to go to administration, and they don't want to support, protect parental choice. We want the money to get into the classroom, increase teacher pay above the national average, and protect parents' rights to decide how they want to educate their child.
Okay, I want to make sure I understand what you're saying about Prop 123. So are you saying that if the voters don't do anything, there will still be $300 million in the next fiscal year?
Yes. So
and the year after that?
Yes, sir. So please help us get the word out.
So that's taken care of.
That's taken care of.
So there's no need for a vote.
Our fiscal responsible budgets have allowed us to be able to continue to fund this program.
And when you say protect parental choice, I think both you and Steve Montenegro used language similar to that. What protections are needed?
Well, right now, Arizona leads the nation in school choice and school options, whether it's public schools, district schools, private schools, charter schools, homeschooling, or ESAs. We have all of these options here that parents can choose. And we see some families have 4 kids, and 4 kids are in different, all different choices. We want to make sure that parents continue to be the ones who decide how their kids get educated.
Okay, so but again, what does protect mean? How would you protect?
Well, an example would just simply be that, school choice options are protected, or parents have the right to decide how their kids are educated.
Under the Constitution?
Yeah.
So a constitutional amendment?
That's a possibility. That would be one way to do it. So the tip of the spear on this issue is Senator Mesnard in the Senate, Representative Gress in the House. I think they're going to, I think they're the lead on how this is going to happen. But the principle is we want to protect, parental choice.
Okay. In her speech, Governor Hobbs called for bringing accountability to the Empowerment Scholarship Program, something she's made a target for the last several years. Last month, Superintendent Tom Horn changed the policy on reimbursing school voucher families for expenses of $2,000 or less. Basically, they don't need any documentation anymore because Tom Horn, as he told him, sat in that chair 3 weeks ago or so and said he is just overwhelmed by this program. Republicans are the party of fiscal responsibility. Is it fiscally responsible to just hand out money without any proof?
Thank you for that endorsement. Yes, we are the party of fiscal responsibility. We've seen embezzlement of tens of millions by a county treasurer. We saw embezzlement in the district schools. Should we get rid of county treasurers? Should we get rid of district schools?
False analogy.
No, it's an accurate analogy. Somebody misspends $500 on the ESA program. Now they're screaming to get rid of the ESA program. We don't want any money misspent anywhere, whether it's access, counties, no matter where it is, district schools, of course. We want the money to be spent appropriately. In fact, I provided solutions. Recently, when I met with the Department of Education, I said, one thing you guys need to do, anytime there's a new student coming into the ESA program, they need to provide 2 forms of identification, so you know that this is an actual student. So yeah, we're happy to do whatever we need to do to make sure that the program is used how it should be used and that funds are used appropriately.
Hundreds of millions of dollars is going out the door without any documentation. There may be an audit, there may not be an audit somewhere down the road. Is that fiscally responsible?
They do have safeguards, and they do have a means to follow up. And if they do an audit they are authorized right now to audit. And as they follow up and look into these things, if they find out that this has happened, then the parents are going to have to pay it back. So we have the tools to be able to do this.
They have the tools, but you don't have the bodies.
Listen, it's the same in the counties and the districts. They also have less oversight. in all forms of government, access. Access doesn't have.
So this is okay.
It's not okay. It's never. Waste is never okay. All right. But the point is that we will if we find the waste, we'll fight it, we'll prosecute, and we'll do what we need to do.
So will we see any new accountability measures on ESAs in this session?
I think we probably will. We've done something every single session. And the bottom line is it is currently as accountable or more accountable than any other government program that we have out there right now. It's a little ridiculous that people will say it's somehow worse than all these others. And we will continue to make it better.
Let's end on spring training. Starts next month. Baseball is coming back. Arizona Diamondbacks want to use a portion of the state sales tax to help renovate their stadium, Chase Field, downtown. A bill is in the works. I don't think it's been introduced yet. Would you support that use of taxpayer money?
Well, it depends. I haven't seen it either. I've just heard about it. Look, the facility is a public facility. And so if the county is not fulfilling its job, or if there's something that a responsibility that government has, then maybe there is something there. I don't think that government should be doing things that the private sector should be responsible for itself. So that, it's going to depend on the details of what the bill says. I've heard I've heard that the maintenance hasn't been fulfilled, that the building hasn't been maintained like it's supposed to. I'm somewhat sympathetic to that if it's a public facility, but again, I don't want the taxpayer paying for something that a business should be paying for.
Is a renovation of the stadium something the business should be paying for?
Well, again, it depends on the agreement. There has been a pretty complicated agreement between the county and the team that has changed over time. They've had some, disagreements on it, and ultimately, a landlord or an owner of a building, whether it's a public building, is typically required to upkeep and maintain the building. Now, there are some claims that is not necessarily what the agreement was. So we'll dig into it. Once we get the language, we'll sit down, we'll dig into it and see what's fair and how it should be.
Senate President Warren Petersen, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Really appreciate it.